join me in a deep and intentional breath. Thank you so much for being here this morning. This week, we celebrate World Interfaith Harmony Week. This week was adopted by the United Nations in 2010 and celebrates dialogue, collaboration, and cooperation among people of all faiths and no faiths. Though this week derives from the common commandments of love of God, love of the good, and love of neighbor, these commonalities are held without any compromise to any religious tenets. This morning, our time together marks one of the countless interfaith events that are taking place all around the world this week. In a climate where national narratives equate difference with danger, our presence here this morning is an act of radical love and an act of resistance. This morning's service is the gift of a beautiful contribution and coordination from the School of Theology's very own Interfaith Club. Students from our community will be sharing elements and practices of their own faith traditions. We invite you to enter this service with an open mind and to participate as much or as little as you feel comfortable doing. This service will be peaceful, it'll be meditative, it'll be very prayerful. So we invite you to reflect on how each of the practices we encounter today might intersect with your own faith traditions. Our very own Tom Reid will be sharing a reflection with us today. Tom is a dear friend, and I often stand before him in awe and wonder for all that he is, all that he's done, and all that he will be. Tom's experience and passion for interfaith work is palpable in all that he is. I invite you to read more about Tom in your bulletin, but for now, I will say we are very grateful for your presence here today and in this community, and thank you to each of you for being here this morning. Welcome.
I invite you to stand as you're able. As you stand facing forward, you're looking towards the north. Let us invite the energies of north, the elements of earth, to strengthen and ground our prayers and meditations today. Spirit of earth, you hold the wisdom of our ancestors. Our ancestors were human, and they were also animal, plant, rock, and microbe. Teach us to revere the long, slow processes that brought us into being. Show us how to be patient, that we might stand solid and sure as guardians and protectors of this planet. Welcome, Earth. If you turn to your right, facing the side wall, you'll be looking towards the east. Let us invite the energies of the east, the element of air, to lift and lighten our prayers and meditations today. Spirit of air, you are in constant motion. Air touches everything but cannot be seen. It draws ever new currents as it circulates. Guide us to move through the world, transparent to inspiration, always willing to make fresh responses to changing atmospheres. Remind us that where pressure builds up, there is big power, and this can be used for renewal as well as for destruction. Welcome, air. If you turn again to your right, you'll face the back of the chapel, looking towards the south. Let us invite the energies of the south, the element of fire, to spark and dance through our prayers and meditations today. Spirit of fire, you have the power of total transformation. Fire turns materials back to their essence, the bones and ashes from which new forms may arise. Leaping high or gently warming, it plays a drama in color, light, and shadow. Tell us the story of our own births and rebirths, the passions that brought us to this place. Bring life back to what has grown cold, and channel our righteous rages into fierce, directed action. Welcome, fire. If you turn once more to your right, you'll be facing the west. Let us invite the energies of the west, the element of water, to refresh and purify our prayers and meditations today. Spirit of water, you flow through our lands and our bodies. Water nourishes and revives. It provides safe passage for the nutrients that support life. Like the tides, it knows when to thunder forth and when to pull back. Instill in us trust in our own ebbing and flowing movements, the contractions and expansions that work together to keep our hearts beating, our blood coursing. Let us honor the power of instinct, that body-deep knowing that cleanses our false perceptions and brings us into deep harmony with what is. Welcome, water. As we turn again to the front of the chapel, we welcome all four directions, all four elements. Spirits of earth, air, fire, and water, we are honored by your presence today.
Please contemplate these words with me. This chant is from a New Orleans specific ancestral tradition. Earth, water, fire, and air. Within me all things are there. Flesh on my bones is like the earth. It's soft but strong and full of worth. The blood that flows within my veins is like the ocean, river, and rain. My spirit soars and takes me higher. Here is where I keep my fire. My breath and thoughts are like the air. I can do everything and go anywhere. Earth, water, fire, and air. Within me, all things are there. And so I pledge unto myself power, love, health, and wealth.
can often lose our way. This morning, we will be passing the piece slightly differently. I'll read a poem based on a teaching from the Pacific Northwest indigenous people, and then I will invite you to turn to your neighbor for a minute or two and share your thoughts on the poem. The poem is called Lost by Reid. So, imagine you're a youth learning how to find your way through the forest and get lost. It's starting to get dark. You can't remember where you are, you don't see the path, you are lost, and you're getting a little upset. Here is what an elder might tell you to do. Stand still. Stand still. The trees ahead and the bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is a place called here. And you must treat it as a powerful stranger. Wherever you are is a place called here. And you must treat it as a powerful stranger. Must ask permission to know it and know it. The forest reads. Listen. It answers, I have made this place around you. Listen, it says I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again saying, here. No two trees are the same to Reid. No two branches are the same to Wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, then you are surely lost. Stand still. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it play. So just take a minute and turn to your neighbor and share what you hear. See what the piece is and ask them.
No, I just to share. Yeah. So just for conflict.
When you are ready, take your partners and your neighbors. Thank you.
temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever.
Good morning, School of Theology. It is truly an honor to stand up here before you today in this space. As my class, the graduating class of 2019, enters the final months of our time as STH, our time at STH as students, my thoughts about how this place has shaped me and what these buildings, this community, what you all mean to me, becomes clearer and stronger. And I find myself filled with gratitude. Gratitude for the 3 years that I have been able to spend here, the many things I have read or been forced to skim when faced with the physical realities and finitude of time. The incredible conversations, the tears, the laughter, etc. I am also grateful for the sheer fact that all of us here today are sharing in an interreligious liturgy in our predominantly and historically Christian seminary. By being here today, we are part of something beautiful, something expansive, something radical. And my hope and prayer is that we can all leave here today impacted in some positive way by this experience. Thank you to Jamie and the worship team for inviting the Interfaith Club in its first full year as an official STH club to collaborate in the planning of this service. And thank you to everyone who readily and enthusiastically responded to that invitation with ideas and a willingness to collaborate and build something new together. Before I continue, I would be remiss not to honor the memory of Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, who served as dean of this chapel from 1953 to 1962. It is also fitting with the mention of Dr. Thurman, the first African-American chapel dean at a majority Euro-American university or college in the United States, that we recognize that this is the first week of February, also known as Black History Month. Those of you who have worked with me or the Miller Center in some way will already be familiar with this, but in 1955, Dr. Thurman encountered for the first time a young Orthodox Jewish rabbi named Zalman Schachter Shalomi. Reb Zalman, as he was affectionately referred to, had discerned the need to expand his education beyond the Jewish world, as he referred to it, and enrolled at Boston University to study pastoral psychology and the psychology of religion. Zalman, who had to leave his home in New Bedford before dawn to make it in time to pray on campus before class, struggled to find a suitable place to pray at that hour. The only building open was Marsh Chapel. But, if you notice behind me, the statues of the evangelists flanking the central statue of Jesus and the beautiful stained glass windows make for a fairly uncomfortable place for a Jew or perhaps any other non-Christian to enter, let alone pray. The smaller Robertson Chapel downstairs wasn't any more hospitable with its large brass cross on the altar. Committed to finding a spot to pray, Reb Zalman finally settled into a corner of the Daniel Marsh memorabilia room to say his morning prayers. He had been using it for several days when he had his first encounter with then Dean Thurman. Thurman had seen him several times and asked the young rabbi if he wouldn't be more comfortable in the small chapel. Evidently, the dean could sense Reb Zalman's unease and added, "Why don't you stop by the chapel tomorrow morning and take a look?" And the next morning, when Reb Zalman looked in the chapel, he found 2 candles burning alongside an ornate Bible opened up to Psalm 139, and no sign of the big black cross. Thurman's choice of psalm was no accident. One verse reads, "Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence?" I love this story for many reasons, and I won't spoil the ending, so you can read the rest of it if you want to. But one of the reasons is this simple yet profound gesture Thurman uses to instantly make this young rabbi feel both at home and know that he was free to move the cross as necessary in that particular space. Thurman also demonstrated an awareness of and attentiveness to the needs and concerns of this person from a different religious tradition, and making a concerted effort to welcome the stranger in a space that could otherwise seem intimidating and inhospitable. And Thurman uses both a deep theological awareness and scriptural knowledge to speak to Reb Zalman using a common textual language they both understood, while pointing to a deeper question that would resurface again later in their relationship. Is there anywhere in the world you could possibly go that the divine, however you understand or name it, cannot or will not find you? And that relationship that began with a simple gesture of hospitality transformed Reb Zalman's life. Anyone who knows me knows that I have a passion for interreligious work. And that passion lies at the heart of my own call to ministry. Coming into STH, I had no idea what actual opportunities existed related to interreligious work, what they might look like, nor how to find them. I simply made the leap, trusting in this feeling I couldn't quite explain, yet felt more certain than anything else I had experienced in my life. Similar to Reb Zalman, I was fortunate to find mentors here in this very chapel and beyond who have guided me during my time at STH. Reverend Soren Hessler, my predecessor and former contextual education supervisor at the Miller Center, was one of those key mentors. As I mentioned earlier, I came into STH clear in my commitment to interreligious work. Yet, it had not occurred to me to think about what that might mean for my path toward ordained Christian ministry in a particular Protestant Christian denomination. It was Soren who got me thinking more deeply about how the Presbyterian Church USA views interfaith and interreligious engagement. After some research, I was relieved to discover that my denomination has been working on ecumenical and interreligious issues increasingly for at least the past 50 years. One document in particular, the Interreligious Stance of the Presbyterian Church USA, a very accessible title, was published only in 2014. One of the things I particularly appreciate is the recognition the stance makes of the harm that has been done in the name of religion, and by Christianity in particular. The Presbyterian Church is not unique in this among Christian churches nor other world religions. But it is my tradition, and I'm honoring my belief that true interreligious engagement begins with a deep grounding in who I am that can then meet all of your deeply grounded selves. The confession that concludes the document begins, "We confess that the Presbyterian Church USA has sought to live up to its commitment to love people of other religious traditions, but many times we have not. With God's help, we resolve to do better." It mentions self-serving theologies and triumphalistic attitudes that divide, and it also recognizes that some of the Presbyterian Church's confessions and dated perspectives have resulted in patterns of unhealthy relationships with people of other religions. I am thankful that churches are formally recognizing the errors that have been committed and the violence that has been inflicted on others. And I'm thankful that churches like my own are recognizing that we are indeed called to have loving relationships with people of other religions. And I would add, no religions. We are called to respect and affirm the freedom of others. That is the kind of Christianity I can believe in and be a part of. And it is that kind of Christianity that can support calls like mine to love, be with, work alongside, and learn from people from all walks of life, whether belonging to a faith tradition or not. I would like to conclude with one final story. 2 weeks ago, as a part of my role at the Miller Center, I had the opportunity to participate in some of the sessions of a newly required week-long introductory course on Christianity for first-year rabbinical students at Hebrew College. The course also happened to take place downstairs here in Marsh Chapel. First of all, explaining one's own religion to those from another religious or ethical tradition is no easy task. Where does one begin exactly in trying to explain the Trinity, or the differences between sacramental theologies? Such topics are messy enough for those who have been raised in the tradition. But what an incredible gift it was to sit with a group of aspiring rabbis as they listened to speakers from different Christian traditions, Roman Catholic, Methodist, Baptist, and so on, all trying to explain the nuances that distinguish one tradition from another. And the students raised some fascinating questions, many of which they had never been able to ask before, having lacked such an open space with the explicit invitation to ask even the uncomfortable questions. It is amazing what a fresh perspective can do, both for the questioner and the questionee. That is perhaps the most beautiful aspect of interreligious engagement for me. Such moments of deep sharing can teach us much about ourselves and as much about ourselves as our neighbor, if we are open to the opportunity. And that is why, again, I am so thankful that we are here today. It is easy to gloss over our differences and focus solely on whatever similarities we may have or whatever we may already agree upon. But there is so much more to be gained by sharing and exploring our differences in open, loving, curious, and honest ways. That is how we learn. That is how we grow. That is how we see and understand ourselves better, and that is how we build a more peaceful and loving world. May it be so. Amen.
morning. Sorry, a little too close. I want to thank you all for joining us today for so many diverse perspectives, prayers, songs, and chants. And as we close out this service, I'd like to invite you to join us in a meditation and chant from the Soto Zen Buddhist tradition. This is brought to us by Kim Bress. Kim, can you stand up for a second? Kim is a monastic in this tradition, has been for many years, and really happy that she has shared this practice with us. And if you feel so inclined, we hope you can get a lot out of it as well. Before we begin, I'd invite you to just take a moment to take in the space of Marsh Chapel. As Thomas so eloquently pointed out, much of the artwork and history of the chapel, that I just invite you to take in the space itself and see this as an opportunity to create a kind of sacred space within yourself. So to start out, I ask you to try to sit upright. Take a few deep breaths. Open yourself up. Keep your feet firmly planted on the ground and your ears in line with your shoulders. Close your eyes. Not quite all the way, just leave them open enough so you're kind of looking at a downward angle. Close your mouth, but leave your tongue kind of at the roof of your mouth, so it's not wriggling around all over the place. You can have your hands either resting on your lap or in the mudra position, which involves cupping your hands and having the tips of your thumbs touching. Take 3 deep breaths once you're in a comfortable posture. And the goal is to be upright and present and in touch with the senses of your body and the awareness of the space around you and the space within yourself. If there are any distracting thoughts or sounds that come to mind, simply acknowledge them and just let them pass. Come back to being present. At the sound of the bell, we will begin. the sound of the bell, you can open your eyes once more. Come back to the present moment.
So we're going to offer a traditional ceremony in the Soto Zen Buddhist tradition. So everyone can feel free to participate. There's a insert, and there are, for the chant itself, and then the dedications. There are 2 dedications, and for the second dedication, the entire audience can join in, and the entire audience can join in on the chant as well. Loving kindness meditation. This is what should be accomplished by the one who is wise, who seeks the good and has obtained peace. Let one be strenuous, upright, and sincere, without pride, easily contented and joyous. Let one not be submerged by the things of the world. Let one not take upon oneself the burden of riches. Let one's senses be controlled. Let one be wise but not puffed up. And let one not desire great possessions, even for one's family. Let one do nothing that is mean or that the wise would reprove. May all beings be happy. May they be joyous and live in safety. All living beings, whether weak or strong, in high or middle or low realms of existence, small or great, visible or invisible, near or far, born or to be born, may all beings be happy. Let no one deceive another, nor despise any being in any state. Let none by anger or hatred wish harm to another, even as a mother at the risk of her life watches over and protects her only child. So with a boundless mind should one cherish all living things, diffusing love over the entire world, above, below, and all around, without limit. So let one cultivate an infinite goodwill toward the whole world, standing or walking, sitting or lying down, during all one's waking hours. Let one practice the way with gratitude, not holding to fixed views, endowed with insight from sense appetites. One who achieves the way will be free from the duality
now, let us leave this place filled with the collective peace that we have shared here together. May we make that peace to flow like a river out into the world that needs it so profoundly. May we embody love like an endless ocean and joy like a fountain. Go in peace and change the world.